So I went to see the Batman movie, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. Years of anticipation for a solo Batman movie has been in development for some time, originally starting out as a DCEU Ben Affleck Batman, in which Ben was planned to produce, direct, write, as well as star in the movie itself.
What a story, Mark.
Until late January of 2017, it was announced that Ben has dropped out of directing.
That was Batman. I keep on getting like, where's the Batman? I'm like, bro, I'm working. Give me a second.
And Warner Brothers has given the reign to Matt Reeves, whilst Ben Affleck is still cast to star as Batman.
So are you looking at Ben? Is he going to keep the role, do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, right now that's exactly what's going on. Yeah, for sure.
Rumours were circulating about Ben Affleck exiting the role of Batman before the release of Justice League, until it was officially confirmed that Ben Affleck has departed from the role, which then opened the opportunity of a new Batman outside the DC cinematic universe. So here we are.
Robert Pattinson got cast in the lead role.
Whilst Matt Reeves has full control on where to take it.
Tortured, troubled character who's struggling to do the right thing in an imperfect world.
This movie was less about something to be solved and more of unraveling. Riddler was a villain who wasn't really challenging Batman the way he usually does, but instead let him go off on this goose chase. You're not really involved as an audience member. Only the characters in the universe are, which is completely fine. If your expectation is to get stuck in with the riddles and puzzles, you're gonna be disappointed.
No! God! No! God, please, no! No! No!
It's less Sherlock Holmes and more Chinatown. And my final result being fairly good. Let's talk about what I liked before I talk about my issues. The overall cast were pretty solid for what was presented to them. My favourite being Colin Farrell as Penguin, just because he looked like he had so much fun with the character.
Oh, take it easy, sweetheart. I got you! I got you!
All this from a slice of gabagool.
The action segments, the lighting by Greg Fraser, Gotham City itself being the shithole that it is, the general tone, and some very thoughtful shots throughout. Michael Giacchino music was a nice addition. And the main plot was 70s detective driven but pretty straightforward, which I didn't mind. Where my problem started to lie came down to the final act and my general problem with Matt Reeves as a filmmaker. I don't think he's bad, I just think he's average. Having seen his other movies, I can firmly say his best work are mediocre. He likes to think he makes very emotional and heartfelt stories and characters, but it doesn't land to me the way he thinks it lands in his head.
Create emotional empathy and identification with apes so that by the end of the movie, everybody watching the movie is an ape.
The whole Batman Bruce Wayne dynamic not having a big distinguish between both characters was fine by me. Where it falls apart is we see Batman at his lowest at the beginning of the movie. So when something reactionary comes throughout the movie where it can bring him down even lower, it can't because we're already at his lowest. My main problem with the final act just came down to it being rushed. The movie is already 3 hours long and I honestly felt like the climax was done and dusted as quick as possible. I really liked that the movie took its time, it allowed the scene to breathe, it let you soak in the atmosphere, which I appreciated a lot. By the time the final act was happening, it felt out of place considering the pace of the rest of the movie.
You'll just have to imagine the fire. I kill you. Oh, and don't worry about Barbara. I'll take better care of her than you ever did.
I really like the idea of Gotham being flooded, but the struggle came from the main characters, and less from the people of Gotham itself. It was a missed opportunity not showing the disaster of a flooding can create for people and their livelihood. That also brings the question, why does Riddler cause the flooding? If he's going after corrupt people, why does flooding Gotham make sense to his motivations? The way this movie is presented felt more like a TV series than a movie. This movie honestly could have been a mini-series with the elements they decided to rush. The bomb directed at Bruce Wayne, the killing of the Commissioner, the involvements of the Waynes and the Arkham family, the flooding of Gotham City. All these elements were key to the plot of this movie, but they happened in a matter of minutes, and with a 3-hour runtime, it ain't possible to explore and delve into in a movie format. So my biggest complaint is I would have liked to see and explore more of these vital moments, considering they did that with a lot of other key moments. Now, let's talk about that cameo.
I'm the Joker, baby!
I fucking hated it. Not only was it not necessary, I haven't cringed that badly in a while. Even though you couldn't see Barry Keoghan properly, I just visualized him as Tom Lee Jones' Two-Face from the Joel Schumacher movies. That movie wasn't taking itself seriously, but this one is, so it makes it even worse. Overall, I did enjoy myself with this movie. It had a great opening 15 minutes of setting up Batman as a character in this bleak setting. The first 2 hours being great until its burnt out and rush decline towards the last quarter of the film. So for the most part, I did like this movie. This is the first solo movie since The Dark Knight Rises.
Where's the trigger? Where is it? You never give it to an ordinary citizen. Where is it? Where's the trigger? Where is it? Where is it?
And since anticipating a solo Batman movie since the Ben Affleck one, then with the release of promotional materials, whilst also coming across leaks online and from its trailers, it's hard to have a definitive rating based on my first watch, considering I already knew and watched a lot before the release of this movie. I definitely appreciate that it is different to the other live action Batmans. This is Matt Reeves' best movie thus far, and considering it's the first in the franchise, it's alright. Better than Dark Knight Rises, not better than Dark Knight or Batman Begins. So I'm going to give The Batman a 7 out of 10. Goodbye. Okay, I've now watched it for the second time, and yeah, it's a pretty sweet movie. Some decisions made more sense on why it was executed in a certain way, and I retract my statement about that whole Batman thing. A much better experience on my second viewing, but the last hour still leaves a lot to be desired compared to the excellent first 2 hours. The things that I enjoyed on my first watch, I enjoyed more on my second. Some of the stuff I disliked on my first watch, it was more distasteful on my second. Robert Pattinson is now my favourite live action Batman. This still isn't better than The Dark Knight, but I would put it over Batman Begins. It's now gone to a fairly good movie, to a good movie, but the score is still the same though. Goodbye.